Awesome.
Yeah. Had a good night last night. Got out of here. Had a couple of work calls. Went exceptionally well. The show continuing to pick up steam. Then yesterday evening on the play call for the Greenville Liberty as the Liberty end up with a 3-0 defeat of NC Fusion. They remain on top of the overall USLW League table. They lead the Southeast Atlantic Division. They are also the best team on the table, getting set up for one more round of back-to-back away games for the Triumph, who lead the overall USL League One table as well. So good day for some soccer in the upstate yesterday. By the way, the Liberty will be at home again this Saturday night at Legacy Early College. If you don't have plans, be there. If you do have plans, cancel them and be there. And if you just cannot be there, then make sure you tune into 11sports.com, where I will be on the call one more time. Again, 3 more home matches this year for the Liberty. So make sure that you make it a one. They are a lot of fun. Facebook stream is up for you today. Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, or go to YouTube. Search The Rob Brown Show at The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. Search The Rob Brown Show on YouTube, and either one of those destinations, you can watch us stream the show live. And ladies and gentlemen, I don't need to entice you any more than telling you that I am very handsome and available to be stared at for 3 hours. But if you wondered who had the best hair in the building, T2 has brought the locks out today. My man has got the hair down and looks like Fabio would be jealous. It's a good look, pal.
Thanks.
It's a good look,
I
pal.
appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Man, it's a good day. It's a good day. There's a lot going on. A lot going on right now in the world of sports, and we are going to hit all of it. Cam Newton back in the news today, and I wanted to lead off with that and talk a little bit about an interview that Cam did. I was not able to find the audio for the podcast, but I did find some of the quotes that Cam dropped. He sat in on the Pivot podcast, hosted by former NFL players Ryan Clark, Fred Taylor, and Channing Crowder. And they asked him, do you believe that you can still do this? And Cam was not shy. He said, look, I put myself in a bad situation with both New England and Carolina. I set myself up to fail with both New England and Carolina. How? He said, look, man, I jumped in. I took a spot mid-season. I expected to go out and play Pro Bowl caliber football. I did not do that, and it made me look bad. You know, I'm out there telling everybody I can get it done, and it just didn't happen. They asked him to expand on that a little bit, and he said, quote, I was signed on Thursday. I played on Sunday. At what point did you, and he's talking about himself here, at what point did you think you was going to be successful? That next Sunday you started. That's still up under 10 days of you being on the team, and you're still trying to learn the offense, end quote. Of course, remember that when Sam Darnold suffered that shoulder injury back in week 9, which ended up causing him to miss multiple weeks, the Panthers had to find somebody. They called Cam Newton, who had become a free agent at that point. They signed him later that week on November 11th. Newton had not played since the preseason at that point, when he was still with the Patriots. He played well in his first game in a limited role, scored a pair of touchdowns in the Panthers' win over the Cardinals in week 10, and that was one of those wins that got a lot of people excited. They thought, all right, maybe this is the guy. Maybe he does still got it. That was a good Arizona team that the Cardinals beat in his debut game. But then, starting the next 5 games, losing the next 5 games was Cam Newton, including his worst performance maybe in his career in week 12 against the Miami Dolphins. He went 5 of 21 for 92 yards and a pair of interceptions. He would finish the season with 4 TD passes, 5 picks, and 5 rushing touchdowns. But it has not soured Cam Newton. It has not taken him off of the optimism, at least according to this podcast. Why? Because he still believes, and for the record, I think he's right. He still believes that he is one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the league. Clark asked him if he was one of the top 32 quarterbacks on planet Earth, and Newton said, on my soul, if you think I couldn't be on someone's team right now, you a damn fool, end quote. Now, Crowder said, Cam, I cannot accept that. I saw what you did in New England. Then when you went back to Carolina, I saw what happened. The proof is in the pudding. Tell me I'm wrong. Newton responded by saying, the statistics are in the pudding. There are too many variables out there to sit up there and say, a person may say, oh, Cam hasn't won a game, but if you put one game on my performance, then it's going to be what it's going to be, end quote. Newton would go on to talk about a variety of other subjects, like becoming a father, to the mistakes he believes he has genuinely made in the past, but he repeated a number of times that he wants to keep playing. He said, quote, when I walked out of that tunnel, when they introduced me this past year, it's like, man, I'm not ready to give this up. That desire, it never leaves, end quote. I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now. If I'm the Carolina Panthers, I'm bringing him in. I'm bringing him in. I understand that there's a lot of money wrapped up in Sam Darnold. I understand that. But here's the reality. You saw what Sam Darnold did going into week 9 before he got injured. Started the season relatively hot. 4 quick wins out the gate. Lots of rushing touchdowns. In fact, for a number of weeks, Sam Darnold led the league in rushing touchdowns. And sure, why not? Sure, why not? That's good, I guess. That's good, I guess. It's not the most impressive thing in the world, but it's not the most impressive thing in the world. Cam Newton came in. My man had, as he pointed out, correctly, by the way, my man had 3 days. 3 days. He had 3 days to get his entire life together, to get himself ready to play. And he wasn't awful, to tell you the truth. He wasn't great. He had better games in that Miami game. But again, when you ask him, you got to come in. Remember, he did not play under Matt Rule, right? So he comes in, learns a much more complicated offense, I think, than the one that he played under Ron Rivera the last time that he was in Charlotte. Comes in. He's got to learn this offense on the fly. Yes, I would have expected him to get progressively better. He also had not played regular season football in, again, 10 weeks at that point, right? He last played in the last preseason game. He went through that preseason game. He sat out for a week before week 1. Then he sat out those 9 weeks. Actually, it's 11 weeks. Then he sat out those 9 weeks, got the call in week 10. He was at 11 weeks of no football, and then he gets thrown into the mix. Of course, I wouldn't have expected him to put up Pro Bowl caliber performances. Of course not. Do I think Cam Newton can still do it? Yes. Do I think he'll need to change his game up a little bit? Yes. Of course I do. My man's in his 30s, right? You're not going to have a Cam Newton effort from a guy who is 33 years old at this point. You're not going to get so much out of him that he's going to look like a 23-year-old rookie of the year, man. You can't expect that. But what I can expect is that the Carolina Panthers are not going to be satisfied with another 5-17 season. And what I can say is I do not necessarily believe that Sam Darnold is capable of giving you much more than that. And please remember, while we are having this discussion, that, and I own my mistakes. I own them when I make them. It's like 3 a year. Here's one of them. I defended the move to bring in Sam Darnold. I blamed Sam Darnold's lack of productivity in New York on Adam Gase, on the failure of an organization that is the New York Jets. I consistently blame them for that. Adam Gase had multiple quarterbacks, including Ryan Tannehill, who struggled under him in Miami, went to Tennessee, ended up in a new franchise under a new coach with new talent around him. And then all of a sudden, Ryan Tannehill is an NFL Comeback Player of the Year, right? I assumed, maybe unfairly, maybe fairly, I'm not 100% sure, but I assumed that Sam Darnold would likely have the same success that Ryan Tannehill did. Get out from underneath under Adam Gase, go in a different direction. That franchise is a disaster in the Meadowlands. Go in another direction, get some time in a real offense under a guy who knows how to coach a QB, and watch the success follow Sam Darnold. It didn't. It didn't. Now, I'm not even willing to say that last year's bad Sam Darnold is entirely on him. There are questions about Matt Rule, fair questions. There are questions about why would you fire your offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, midway through the season? Again, they did that, right? I said it at the time. That was the move to point out a sacrificial lamb. That was the effort to pin the blame on the failure of Matt Rule's organization, Matt Rule's administration, on one guy. It was never Joe Brady that was the problem, right? There were some spots I didn't love the play calling. There were some spots I thought he got a little collegiate in the big boy league. But it is what it is. So, I'm at a point right now where there are two options on the table. Option number one is go get Baker Mayfield out of Cleveland. Option number two is to bring back Cam for one more. And if you ask me which one I prefer, I'm going to get Cam Newton at this point. I like Baker. Baker's a good quarterback. But here's the thing. You have added the variable of having Matt Corral in the backfield, in the backups role. So you've got your QB of the future. You did not spend a first-round draft pick on Matt Corral to have him sit for 3 or 4 years. I need a year. Now, you can get a year out of Baker if you want, but it's going to cost you, I think, more money than it's going to cost you to get Cam. I don't know what a one-year contract looks like for Cam Newton, but unless the Cleveland Browns are willing to pay a large chunk of what is owed to Baker Mayfield, which apparently they're not, at least without the Panthers coming off a pretty hefty amount of compensation, I suspect that you'll get 1 year out of Cam for less than the $18 million you would have to come off of if Baker ends up in your organization, or the, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 million you'll have to come up with and give away a 4th, 5th, or 6th round draft pick in order to get Baker. Now, if I got my choice between those two, right, in an ideal world, I'm taking Baker Mayfield. In an ideal world, I take Baker or Mayfield over Cam Newton. But the Panthers are not in an ideal situation. More often than not, the world is not an ideal place. And they are not in an ideal place now. You have your QB future on the bench and Matt Corral. You got 1 year to let that man sit, learn the NFL game, learn the speed, learn the offense before you plug him in next year and start expecting things out of him. So you've got the opportunity to bring in a 1 year guy. Cam Newton is the perfect 1 year guy, right? Cam Newton already considers himself one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the league. I don't think he's wrong. I don't suspect he's wrong. But you bring him in and you go, all right, buddy, here's the deal. 1 year, $6 million, go prove it. 1 year, $6 million, go earn the right to be called one of the best 32 in the league, and somebody will pick you up next year. But we need 7 wins this year. We need to go 7-10 or better. Go get 7, make yourself that guy, and get you a fatter contract somewhere else next year while we move on to Matt Corral. Give him that incentive to do it. Cam's got a point. Cam's not wrong in this podcast. And the Panthers are set up, not ideally for much, but ideally to bring in Cam, let him run it for a year or 10 or 11 weeks until he fails, and then Matt Corral's had some time to learn how an NFL regular season feels, and you make the switch late in Corral's rookie year. Give it a shot. Why not? All right, let's take a break. We're back after this. T2's over there pushing buttons. My name is Rob Brown, making loud noises into a microphone professionally on The Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, buddy, you're good. Yeah, Keegan, so a couple of things. One, the webcam was over here. Here, now that I have the setup official. So this piece of glass, I know you can't really see it, this plexiglass right here, has been here since the days of the Rona. And finally, we have gotten told that it can go away sooner rather than later. And so Lonzo and I both want it gone because it's annoying. So I had to move the webcam. So I moved it over to this side so that I could then decorate the wall back here and get that set up, which I did.
Wonderful product. I've lost 111 pounds using that product. 111 pounds. You could not believe the difference. I went from a 48 pant to a 33 pant, and I've maintained that now for over almost a year now. Yeah, absolutely. Andro 400 has helped me lose 111 pounds. I've maintained my weight for almost a year now.
Thanks, James, for that inspiring testimony and 111 good reasons to choose Andro 400, the most effective and natural way to lose belly fat, increase libido, gain energy, strength and muscle while safely boosting your testosterone levels. So guys, how many reasons do you need for trying Andro 400? Well, here are 2 more great reasons. Order now and get free shipping plus an additional $6 off when you use the code SAVE6. That's SAVE6. Call 888-400-0435, 888-400-0435, or go to andro400.com. Andro400.com.
This is for the men who never settle, the ones who believe only quitters end a game in a tie. The type of guys who choose the bar with the biggest TVs to overcompensate for theirs at home. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
At CDW, we get balancing disparate clouds can be messy. Yep, it's like an ice cream cone. The more scoops you get, the greater the risk of failure. Well, if you want 5 scoops, you should get 5 scoops. And with the Nutanix Enterprise Cloud solution orchestrated by CDW, you can manage applications and data across all your clouds from a single point of control. Is it weird that my mouth is watering? A little. IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Find out more at cdw.com/Nutanix.
Raymond Yardley here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching a kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Go up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Prescription drugs require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after.
Still got 2 minutes 45.
Say that again.
Still got 2 minutes 45 seconds. Oh.
Yeah, their entire process is only a few steps, and they only ship meds from certified pharmacies in the U.S. that are 100% FDA approved. All you got to do is go to 4hims.com/radio. You just answer a few questions, select your treatment preferences, and fill out some health information.
Then a healthcare provider reviews the info and determines which medication, if any, is right for you. If it's prescribed, it ships free right to your door.
I think I'm going to check these HIMSS guys out.
And get this, the ED medication I was prescribed is 90% cheaper than Viagra and has the same active ingredient. I can finally satisfy my partner.
For a free online consultation, go to forhims.com/radio. That's FORHIMS.com/radio.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to get conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Oh, Lord. ¿De dónde eres?
¿De dónde eres?
Babbel's interactive lessons are created by real language teachers and voiced by real native speakers using a modern conversation-based method. So in no time, you'll be speaking confidently about real-life topics in another language.
Nosotras vamos a México en 2 días y ahora hablamos español. Gracias, Babbel. Sí, muchas gracias.
Lessons for life. Celebrating 10
What you
years
got?
of subscription
I'm just sleepy.
Yeah.
I'm just like, come on, stay awake.
That's Babbel.com.
Stand up.
BL.com.
Find the baseball coverage you need on the Odyssey app.
Game analysis, interviews, reactions, and recaps. Odyssey's got them all.
Tips to help you make better bets.
We've got them with the BetQL network.
Official MLB podcasts for every single team.
Got them with Locked On Sports and a lot more.
Okay, up. We got about 15 seconds. Well, now it's 15 seconds.
This report is sponsored by Dairy Queen. Hey, DQ fans, make sure to cast your vote for the official combo meal of MLB at DQ.com. With Tim Anderson's Burger and Blizzard Meal and Bryce Harper's Burger and Blizzard Meal, you just have to try.
Skrilla, welcome, guy. Good to have you, pal. Good to see you last night, my dude.
In the gate, mother Trump round.
Tiger Power Rachel tweets into the show. She says, love that pen, Rob. Let's go make it happen, Panthers. They should definitely sign for Cam for the season. Yeah, no, I absolutely think so. I absolutely think it's the right move. I think it's, again, it's certainly not a free move, but I absolutely think it is the right move in this spot. Everything sets up well for it. From one quarterback to another. And again, I won't go into a long rant on this, but in the last week, Deshaun Watson has had 2 more women sue him. That brings the lawsuit number to 24. But there was more news that came out yesterday that made this situation much more unusual. And that is that the former team of Deshaun Watson, the Houston Texans, provided Watson with a membership to a hotel where some of the massages were taking place. A Texans employee also provided Deshaun Watson with a standard non-disclosure agreement to give to these women. They provided that non-disclosure agreement that Watson later used for massage appointments. Multiple women who did not sue Watson or go to the police with their allegations have also alleged sexual conduct by Watson during their massages and are telling similar stories about being invited to the Houstonian Hotel, which is a private hotel that accepts memberships, and that is what the Texans provided. The New York Times has reported that Watson booked appointments with at least 66 different women over a 17-month period from fall 2019 through spring 2021. That number is important, not just because it is, I'm sorry to say, a shocking number, an absolutely shocking number of women that have now, or that Deshaun booked massages with. But it also is in contradiction with Watson's public statements that he hired around 40 massage therapists over the course of 5 NFL seasons. So when all of this was starting up, and before the New York Times dug into it, Watson claimed that there were 40 massage therapists over 5 NFL seasons. The New York Times is now reporting that there were 66 over a period of less than a year and a half. Now, I have said in the past that I don't particularly care about professional athletes' private lives, right? I really don't care. I don't care. I don't care about Tiger Woods. I've told you how many times. Tiger Woods made one mistake with his life. One and only one. The one mistake that Tiger Woods made was that Tiger Woods got married. If Tiger Woods doesn't get married, I don't care about anything else, right? And I even said, don't jump to conclusions when somebody who is married gets caught in a romantic relationship with other people. Why? Because you don't know what arrangements they have, right? There are people in the world that are in open marriages or swinger lifestyles that are perfectly fine with their partner having sexual relations with other people. It's part of their relationship. They don't care. I would go so far as to say that you probably know someone like that. You don't know that you know someone like that, but you probably know someone like that. So I don't even freak out about that. But there is a massive difference between what Deshaun Watson is being accused of and a young, rich, attractive athlete who is a womanizer, right? Now, let me go ahead and go on the record with this as well. To any future professional athletes that are listening to me out there, any of you young ones out there listening to Uncle Rob this morning, let me give you a piece of free advice from Uncle Rob, all right? I don't care what you do with your life away from the field. I would advise you to be very careful. To be very careful. Because if you get caught up in that lifestyle, which again, I don't care. But if you get caught up in that lifestyle, right? If you get caught up in that lifestyle, there are dangers that come along with it, all right? There are risks that come along with it, and you accept those risks. Now, do I think that Deshaun Watson was just engaged in the life of a young, rich professional athlete who has women throwing themselves at him? No, because we've read the text messages where that's clearly not the case, right? We have read the text messages where that's clearly not the case. We have read the text messages that very openly say that Deshaun Watson was putting these women in interesting situations. Here's the other thing. Trying to dress it up, trying to disguise it as, I was just catching some massages. 66 in a 17th month span. I'll tell you right now, in my past, I have received sports massages. They can be deeply therapeutic, right? I've had one. Granted, I'm not a multimillionaire, but the one masseuse that I have had in the past was professional, was licensed, and I went through people who knew what the hell they were talking about to find that masseuse, right? I did. You are a quarterback, a multi-million-dollar franchise quarterback for a National Football League team. If you need a sports massage, which, by the way, is just different than a regular massage, right? You don't just hop down to the local massage parlor and get a therapeutic sports massage. There are people that are trained to do sports massages, which target certain muscles in certain ways with certain levels of force that is traditionally deeper than just the average casual massage you might get on a Thursday afternoon, right? You work for the National Football League. You work for the Houston Texans. You are the franchise quarterback, the face of a multi-million-dollar NFL team. My guy, if you need a massage, you just go, hey, coach, my thigh is acting up. My calf is aching up. My shoulders are bugging me. And they're going to hook you up with the best sports masseuse that money can buy. I am sorry to say about Deshaun, if you are booking Instagram models off the internet, man, you're not going for a massage, my guy. That's why this situation looks as bad as it does for Deshaun. And when those texts and those DMs started popping up, it got bad quick. But here's the other angle of that we have now gotten from this New York Times report. The Texans seem to be assisting Amir. Now, Deshaun said that the Texans were not aware of why he was using that hotel membership or what he was using it for. But I don't know that I can believe that, right? You're telling me my guy got a membership at a hotel in Houston where he already lives, and he was what? Using the pool, getting some extra swim time in, hitting the hot tub, right? Come on. I can't believe that. I can't believe that. And then they add that the Texans gave him an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, to give to some of these women. Is a bad look for the NFL. It's a bad look for the Houston Texans, who are now involved in Deshaun's bad situation. What are your thoughts? I want to know them. Especially Clemson people. Have you lost trust in Deshaun? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Ow.
I sure do know what that means, Mike. It means another episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi drops today.
See, this is why I don't wear it down.
T2's over there kicking his own ass.
Yeah. One more segment with it down, and then I'm going to.
And then it's over.
Throwing it back up. I'm gonna have to get some earbuds for when I wear it down.
Cody, the guy that does my Saturday show with me, does like the Secret Service earpiece, and I want to get one. I really do. Hey, it looks cool.
I used to have one actually.
Yeah, I have one for my Newsday somewhere, but it got packed up when I moved, and I haven't seen it since.
Same here. I lost mine in a move.
I'll be right back, kids. Don't go anywhere.
2 minutes. Yeah, Keegan, I'm really excited about Obi-Wan as well.
In the past, the conversation around personal mental health has been virtually non-existent. Fortunately, people everywhere are opening up to the idea that talking about our emotions and experiences isn't something to be ashamed of. But even though the narrative is changing, we still live in a world where finding support can be difficult. We knew there had to be a better way to help people take care of themselves and to take the mystery and stigma out of therapy. That's where BetterHelp began. I'm Danny, co-founder of BetterHelp Online Therapy. Our mission is simple: find a way to make professional therapy accessible, affordable, and convenient for everyone. With BetterHelp, you can connect to a therapist by phone, video call, or even text message. You can contact your therapist when it's convenient for you. If your therapist isn't available,
Let's see.
because BetterHelp is designed with you in mind.
Obi-Wan's Day.
I know.
Yeah, I just got the tweet, said that it just dropped.
Oh,
So
it's
if you
up?
need me after the show, I'll be in my office.
Excuse me.
Rewatching that badass scene with Darth Vader snapping necks like a ball.
Dude,
last
that was
week.
awesome, wasn't it?
Oh, so good.
Oh my God, it was like finally get to see Darth Vader. Like
Darth Vader?
Yeah.
Like comic book Darth Vader.
Yeah. I was so excited to see him. He's just walking down the street, just dragging people by their throats.
Sick. Dragging Obi-Wan into that fire.
Obi-Wan was scared. He's like, nah, bro.
Yeah. Hey, buddy.
Morning.
Welcome
What's
back
up,
to
man?
the lands of shirts that you should be wearing.
You know what? I picked this one out with you in mind, specifically because you commented on my shirt yesterday.
Chris thought about me while he was getting dressed.
Let's see what Rob thinks of this one.
You have my unending approval. I know you were concerned about that.
I need to monkey with your wide orbit for a minute, if you don't mind.
I don't mind. We're about to come back though, and like.
Is it this?
Yeah.
Where's the?
This one.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta like click it first to turn.
Yeah,
it
you
on.
do. I don't like that, but that's how it works.
Is that the DNS? The 8.8.8?
Well, no, that's Google's DNS.
Yeah.
But this one interestingly says that it has no internet access. It should.
You're the one who protects the flock.
All right, 45 seconds.
Because when safety and well-being are on the line, it's the details that can save lives. Even when no one else is watching, you see everything. Granger gets you, and we're here for you, and all the ones who get it done with a wide range of safety products and solutions, plus board-certified safety consultants here to answer your questions. Call, click Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
The smoke is back at Church's. Our $6 smokehouse chicken meal is a juicy half chicken served with mashed potatoes and a honey butter biscuit. All that for just $6, but not for long. Church's, welcome to the great state of flavor.
DNS is resolving.
Listen on the Odyssey app.
It's using Odyssey's DNS.
Well, it's kind of dope as hell.
It really
Holy
is.
crap, this kicks.
Yeah, it really is. I like that riff.
This jam kind of slaps a little bit. My goodness. But it's 9:40 a.m. Who doesn't need a little metal in their life this early? Are you kidding me?
I listened to metal on the way in here, man.
Kidding me? Unreal.
I had a Mice and Men playing and
I'm not mad at
all
it.
kinds of stuff.
I 100%
Wage War.
Will
Wage
like
War.
heavy stuff is the AM go-to, right?
Yeah, for me.
Oh,
So I can make it here without falling asleep.
I get up and I listen to heavy metal like Limp Bizkit on the way into work in the morning. Don't you me. T2.
Yeah, well,
listen.
I'm a Slipknot fan. I'm sorry. Fred Durst and Slipknot. I can't.
I saw Slipknot. I saw Slipknot in like 2011, 2012. So you hear people all the time that say, I listen to everything. I am genuinely somebody who listens to everything.
Me too.
Like, I will listen to classic music. I'll listen to hip hop. I'll listen to classic rock. I'll listen to metal. I'll listen to like whatever's on the speakers. I don't care as long as it's good, right? It's when you start throwing bad music at me that I'm out or super over the top market music, top 40
Canned and
stuff.
processed. Yeah, canned and processed music.
I'll listen to anything and everything. I enjoyed Slipknot. like 3 weeks ago, I saw Megadeth and Lamb of God, which was the
you got to see
hardest
Lamb of God?
Oh, we're fantastic.
Oh,
too.
I bet.
And here's
man.
the thing. Those two bands have been on playlists for me in the past, but not like I listen to all their stuff. Like I stumble across a song, I'm like, all right, I dig it. I like it. It goes on the list.
I like the Ashes of the Wake album from Lamb of God, but I did not listen to a whole lot of Megadeth.
See, I couldn't tell you, like, I couldn't pick a song and be like, that's a song off that album I know. I just know that there's 4 or 5 songs from both on playlists. But I'm like, what the hell, man? I'll go to a metal show. Metal people are amazing, right?
Aren't they?
They're amazing.
Aren't they?
They are amazing because during shows, they are beating the hell out of themselves and each other, yet also the nicest human beings in the world.
Yeah.
There was a kid at this concert ahead of me. When I say kid, I mean this kid was 10, 11 years old, right? 10, 11 years old. And he is in a like a denim vest over a black t-shirt with the Slayer logo on the back of it.
Yeah.
And so between the two bands, it was like a 15-minute intermission between the two bands to reset the stage. And I got to talking to the parents of this kid because they were both all metalled out. And I'm like, dude, awesome that you've got your kid into this. And they're like, we did not get him into this. He got into it himself. He's like, we were not metal people. He brought this to us, and now we're in.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
That
dude.
is amazing. That's awesome.
That this kid found a music that he liked that represent, and it may not be traditional, right? But I'll tell you right now, I got as much respect for that kid finding his way. And I got to talking to him, and I was like, who's your favorite old metal band? Twisted Sister. Like, dude, D. Snyder. Love this kid, right?
Yeah.
Love this kid. Music is the universal language, man. It's not to say that you have to like every type of music. Like, I have walked away from recent country music. Like, I call it bro country, right? I left country music about the emergence of like the Florida Georgia line bands. I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the older stuff.
It's not really country.
But if I see a kid who's like found his music, who has found his voice in music, like my dude with the Twisted Sister and Slayer, I respect that. I like that, man. I like that. It's awesome. It was cool to see that kid who was throwing down. But the best part was you'd watch this mosh pit on the floor of dudes and chicks throwing themselves into each other. And then between breaks, like everybody there is just best friends with everybody else. It was, It was amazing. It really
you
was.
fall in the pit, they help you up and everything.
Oh, it's great. I've never seen anything like it.
Have you ever been in a mosh pit?
One time.
Once.
One time. Did a mosh pit.
I used to
when
mosh
I
all the
was
time.
25, 26 years old. I had a friend of mine. We went to a like a local metal concert in Panama City, down in Florida. And I went with a couple of college buddies, one who was a big metal guy, like as
Right.
long as I had known him.
Right.
So we got there, and I had I had at the time zero interest in the pit, man. It's just not for me, right? Like,
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
your thing, I get it. It's a way to express yourself.
I agree that the pit is not for everybody.
It is not.
It really isn't.
It's a way to express yourself. It's a way to get a little angst out. I get it, but it's just not for me. So he talks me into it, right? He's like, you got to do it once, man. You say it about everything. Try everything once. And I do.
Yeah.
I really do. I say,
Hey, that's a good point, though.
Try
That's a good point.
everything except chasing cheese wheels down hills once. Try it all once. He's like, you got to try it. I'm like, all right, you called me out. I got to do it. I lasted a song. I was like, nope.
Not doing it
Nope.
no more, yeah.
Nope, not for me. If it's your thing, it's your thing. I respect it. Go bananas. Have a great time. It is not for me. I felt like there were some dudes in the pit that were going to earn helmet stickers from pancaking guys. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm out. And it's not even like the majority of the people in it were really just kind of bumping into each other.
Yeah.
But then there's the dudes who start swinging their arms around and kicking
Yeah.
and stuff. And I'm like, all right, man, it's not an MMA fight, bro. It's
Well,
not,
those guys usually get kicked out because they're like, being
Jerks?
yeah.
A-holes?
Yeah, like I don't know if you've ever seen like videos of like band members like kicking people out of mosh pits. It's because of things like that.
Oh,
They
it was bad.
They'll hit somebody in the face and like start this fight or just push somebody over and not help them up. Like I've seen bands kick those people out all the time. So
all right, speaking of things that go against the norm, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to stay tuned for just a minute here because I am going to say something nice about Tim Tebow. Shocking, I know. Shocking, I know. Tim Texter says, T2 sounds like the way John Denver music feels. Is he sure he's a metal guy?
Oh, I'm definitely a metal dude. I'm definitely a
Listen,
metal man.
T2 is super, as the kids say, chill. All right. I've worked with T2 enough to tell you the Timinator is one of the chillest dudes I've ever worked with in radio. But also look at that hair.
Yeah, man.
My guy is a Bahamian vacation away from having dreads. All right.
I do have a few in.
You do? I saw him
yeah.
earlier.
Yeah, I have a few in.
My man is a solid trip to the desert away from having dreads at this point. All right, the College Football Hall of Fame has announced their new names on the ballot, and amongst them are Alex Smith, Ryan Leaf, and Tim Tebow. The ballot was emailed out Monday to the more than 12,000 National Football Foundation members and current Hall of Famers who have through June 30th to vote. The votes will be tabulated and submitted to the NFF's Honors Court, which will then select the class. The NFF board the Honors Court is chaired by the NFF board member and the College Football Hall of Famer Archie Griffin. The newest inductees will be announced in early 2023. Listen, there are some names on this list, right? I gave you three right there: Leaf, Smith, Tebow. Oklahoma State receiver Justin Blackman is on that list. Oklahoma linebacker Rocky Kalmus is on that list. Penn State running back Kajana Carter is on that list. Oregon running back LaMichael James. Boston College linebacker Luke Kuechly is on that list for the first time. Oklahoma defensive lineman Dewey Selman and Memphis running back D'Angelo Williams are all on that list as first-timers. But I'm going to go and say here that despite a list of really, really good names, the one that jumps out, the one that's got to be first-teamer is Tim Tebow, right? Three-time SEC Offensive Player of the Year, 28 records set by Tim Tebow at the University of Florida. And, of course, in case you forgot, a Heisman Trophy and a pair of national championships. First sophomore ever to win the Heisman in 2007, led the Gators to a pair of national championships during his time there. Listen, I got to watch Tim Tebow play up close a number of times. When I lived in Florida, obviously covered the Noles, obviously covered the Gators, got the chance to see Tim Tebow play in person 5 or 6 times during his career. I'm going to tell you right now, that guy was annoying as hell to anybody that was not a Florida Gator fan. That guy was annoying as hell to anybody not wearing orange and blue because he was so good, right? He was so unconventional. He was so different than what anybody else has ever done at the QB position. Not a great NFL player, not a guy who didn't get enough time to prove he could do it in the league. He just wasn't good at the next level. But as college quarterbacks go, Tim Tebow was the most influential college football player that I have ever seen live, and I have been going to games for a very long time. Very long time. The guy was on a different level. He was on a different level. And I'm not saying anything that you guys don't already know, but I needed to throw it out there because if there's a cat on that list I just read you, and again, a really good list. Carter was exceptional. LaMichael James never got enough credit for being as good as he was. We all know how good Luke Kuechly was at Boston College. Tim Tebow is the guy. Tim Tebow was different. He was different. I would like to say that Tim Tebow changed the position of quarterback at college, but he didn't. Not because what he did didn't work. It obviously worked exceptionally well, a pair of rings and a Heisman. But I can't say he changed the position because we haven't seen another one like him since then, right? We haven't seen that guy that played the fullback, quarterback, running back position like Tim Tebow did. He changed the game in its entirety for one guy, himself, because no one else has been able to replicate it. There have been other good running quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson at Louisville had a little bit of shine like him. There have been other strong, big quarterbacks like Trevor Lawrence, obviously, but no one played the game the way that Tim Tebow did. And watching that guy take snaps in person was a sight, man. Watching that guy drag 3 or 4 defenders to the ground. Watching that guy be so dangerous out of the shotgun that teams just let tight ends run free and hoped he didn't see them because they knew if they pulled one less linebacker in the slot, he was going to run them over. Tim Tebow is a first ballot college football Hall of Famer. If it doesn't happen, it will be a travesty. 2 hours left. We hit him hard when we come back on the Rob Brown Show. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Fan Upstate.
Gucci.
All right.
Just save it.
Because these kids today don't give a rip about the history of the Fighting Irish. They're all tuned into the Witham channel, man. WIFM, what's in it for me? Number one for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7 on the Fan.
Upstate.
The Fan.
Upstate.
WYRD Greenville.
WORD Spartanburg.
WFBC HD3 Greenville. The official sports voice of you, the Upstate Fan. An Odyssey station. Warning. Man, check this out. You're on official Rob Brown lockdown. Represents being real. Yeah.
Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, Rob, the Timinator, T2 Tim Snow filling in for the great one, Lonzo. He makes his return on Monday. I don't do this too often, but I have to right now because it is a discussion that I've heard a lot of times and I want to address it. Because it is a discussion that I think creates an unfair hostility towards a group of people. Mark Ryan, you heard that promo play for his show, Offsides, 3 to 7 every weekday right here on the Fan Upstate. And it is without a doubt my favorite sports talk radio show in the Upstate, except this one, obviously. It's awesome. It's awesome. It's the South Carolina Broadcasters Association's Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year. I'm a little biased. Anyway, Offsides 3 to 7. Make sure you're tuned in. It's phenomenal radio. I listen every day. That's 100% true. I sit in the office and I listen to the first hour. I listen to the next hour driving home. And then usually when I get to the house, when I'm finishing up my work for the day, I put it on as well. It's a great show. But Mark and I disagree on something. And I just heard that promo running. And I want to respond to it. Ordinarily, I hear promos from Mark, and I'm like, all right, Mark did that on his show. I'm going to let it be. I'll talk about what I need to talk about. But I do need to talk about this. Because I just heard him say, kids don't care about being a Florida Gator anymore. They don't care about being a South Carolina Gamecock. They're all tuned in to WIFIM radio, What's in It for Me radio. And I have to ask the question, how is that different than anybody else anywhere else, right? Why is it that we continue to put, and by we, I mean y'all. Why is it that y'all continue to put these expectations, these regulations, and these beliefs on college football players that you don't put on anyone else, including yourselves, right? Including yourselves. I got $1 that says that the overwhelming majority of people listening to this show, unless you are working for a business that was like started by your pops or your grandpa or your mom or your grandma, unless you are working for a family legacy business, when you put in an application to work at the job that you work at now, I got a sneaky suspicion that says you didn't say, I want to work here because of the history and the legacy of this business, right? Now, that may have played a role in your decision to apply there, sure. You may have gone, okay, well, this whatever company has been around since 1845. They got history, and I like that. I'm going to work for them. I'm going to put in for them. But I promise you, if they came to you and they offered you 50% less salary than the new kids on the block in that same business, you're taking the job of the new guys, right? It may have been a factor in your decision, But you're not working where you work because of the unique history and traditions of the business you work for. See, what ends up happening, in my opinion, is that if you were a fan of a school, you're a fan of a school for a reason. If you're a fan of the Gamecocks, the Tigers, the Gators, the Seminoles, the Bulldogs, the Commodores, whoever. If you're a fan of a school, 98% of the time there's an emotional reason for it. You grew up a fan of the school. Your mom went to the school. Your dad played basketball at the school. There's a reason for it. But I want to take you back. I want you to go back, for those of you, and there's nothing wrong with not having gone to college, just so we're clear. This is not denigrating anybody. But a lot of the people that have the emotional connection to the school have it for what reason? They went to school there, right? Now, you may have chosen your school because you grew up a lifelong fan of that school, because it's a legacy school, because that's where your mom or pops or family members all went to. And I get that. But for a lot of people, I will not say the majority because I don't know this to be true, but for a lot of people, me included, when I graduated high school in 2003, shut up, and it was time to pick a school, I put into a lot of them. And there was one specifically that I wanted to go to, partially because it was a legacy school, because most of the family members I went to college went to this school. I grew up a fan of this school. There was one school in particular that I wanted to go to. And if it was an exclusively emotional decision, that's where I would have ended up. But I didn't go there for two reasons. Number one, they were not incredibly reputable in the major that I had decided that I wanted to go after at the time. It's not the one I finished with, but it's the one I wanted to start with. And number two, because when I got the tuition bill in the mail, it's about 3 times higher than deciding to go to college in state. About 3 times higher. And I, an idiot and not a very good athlete, didn't have any scholarships on the table. That's not true. I had a Bright Future Scholarship, which is the lottery scholarship in Florida. So not only was the out-of-state tuition about 300% higher to go out of state to the school I emotionally wanted to go to, but the 3 times lower in-state tuition was also knocked down 75% by a Bright Future Scholarship. Now, the school I ended up going to in state was not the school that emotionally I wanted to go to. But it was the school that made the best case for me going there, because they had a very reputable major that I wanted to go into, and it was about 375% cheaper than going to the initial school that I wanted to go to emotionally. Now, let me ask you, T2, having heard that, you got any problem with the reason with that? The reason that I ended up at the school that I wanted to end up at, or that I did not want to end up at, but ultimately did?
No.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. I wouldn't think so. I made a decision that was best for me.
Yeah, you got to do what's right for you.
Sure. I was listening to WIFM radio. What's in it for me radio? What was in it for me was a specific school within the school that was reputable for the major that I was chasing, and a lot less money coming out of my pocket going to them. I wasn't going to have to work 3 jobs to pay tuition. I was going to have to work 1 and pay 25% of tuition. Now, for those of you out there in Radio Land that listen to Mark Ryan's promo and found yourself shaking your head yes to it, do you have a problem with how I ended up at my school? I bet you don't, right? See, what happens is we develop an emotional connection with something, and then we expect everybody else to act as if they have the same emotional connection. You are unique. You're special. But your emotional connection is not everybody else's emotional connection. It's just not. You and your lifetime of friends going to the University of XY does not make me go, yeah, I really respect that school. I don't necessarily need to. So when there are kids being recruited to go play college football and looking around, somebody might look and go, I only want kids who want to be a Gator. Well, that's not how it works. Yeah, sure. There is a small percentage of recruits who grow up as Florida fans or Gamecock fans or Tigers fans who go when they get an offer of a scholarship from those schools. That's a school I'm going to because I've been a fan since I was a kid. And that's respectable. I got no issue with that either. But that's not how it works for everybody. There are going to be some kids that are going to go, I'm going to pick this school, not because I think it's great to be a fill in the blank, but because I want to major in secondary education, and they got a phenomenal teaching school. Or because when I'm done with football, I want to work in an investment firm, and they've got an exceptional business school. Why would anybody ever go to Missouri? Well, it's because Missouri has the #1 journalism school, the #1 J school in the country. And if you are setting out to be a journalist and you get into Mizzou, you're coming out with job offers, Jack, regardless of what it looks like. See, these are all other factors. It is great that you are so proud of your school that you rock the colors and throw the bumper sticker on the car. But not everybody that walks through the doors of your school is there because they share that same pride and tradition. There were traditions at the school I ended up going to that I hated. I thought they were dumb. And I wouldn't do them. All the guys in my fraternity are like losing their mind. I'm like, this is dumb. This is the dumbest thing we do. Why do we do this thing? Right? But ultimately, I do have pride in that school. Ended up getting my degree at the University of West Florida. You ever heard of the University of West Florida, Tim? You know what their mascot is?
What is it?
It's the Argonauts. Now, you didn't know that.
No.
You had no reason to know that.
My school's in Florida, though.
What school is that?
I went to Full Sail.
Full Sail, one of the best production schools in America.
Yeah.
Would anybody just randomly grow up a fan of Full Sail University? Probably not.
Probably not. No.
Probably not. Yet, they turn kids away every semester. Why? Because anybody who wants to be in TV and radio production wants to go to Full Sail. It's their thing, and they're damn good at it.
Yep.
Right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah. That's it. It's the same thing on a bigger scale. Now, you might look and go, those are different because it's a small school. No. The point stands. The point stands. Nobody grows up a big fan of Full Sail U. But if you want to go into TV production and you get into and thrive at Full Sail, you're coming out with job opportunities.
Yeah. I had several when I came out.
Yeah. That's it. So, I am sorry that you don't like the fact that now your school has to do extra work to convince these kids to want to be there. Because here's how it works for most people. For most people, you pick the school. And I'm talking about not just football players. I'm talking about every student who walks on campus.
I picked mine. I did a lot of research, and I picked mine, yeah.
Yeah. You pick your school based on the opportunities your school offers you both in and after college.
Right. And it should be the same for these players.
It is.
Yeah.
It's just that their criteria is different than yours, right? I picked my school based on the fact that the school that offered the major I wanted was one of the most reputable in the country. If you finished this school at my university, you came out of it with job offers. And I got 75% off of in-state tuition.
Right.
The other school I wanted to go to, their school that I wanted my major from, ranked like 70th in the country. And it was going to cost me 300% more than in-state tuition, which I got 75% off of to go there. So while emotionally I was connected to the school, I loved the traditions of that school. I love the traditions of that school. I love what they were doing at that school. I love the program at that school. It, for me, made sense to go to this school. I'm glad I did. And I ended up falling in love with that school. And I'm still a fan of that school.
And I love mine.
Yeah.
I can 100% say that everything you said about Full Sail is 100% true.
Yeah, you fall in love with the school based on what the school offers you, right? Mark and guys in that camp look at it and they say, you should love us. Why? You just should. You should just want to be here. No. 80% of people, I'm making that statistic up. A large amount of people, a large percentage of people do not look at your school and love your school for the reasons that you do, right? I want kids who want to be a Florida Gator, a South Carolina Gamecock, a Clemson Tiger, a Florida State Seminole, an LSU Tiger, a Notre Dame Fighting Irishman. Of course you get kids who want to be there, but they don't want to be there just because the school exists. Do you know what we call people who feel a way about themselves as a person, right? I am so awesome. You should just love me. I don't need to give you any reason to love me. You just should because I'm great. You know what they call them? Award-winning radio host and narcissist. That's what they're called. That's what they're called. If somebody says, I exist and I'm amazing, therefore you should love me, that's a narcissist, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with schools. Nobody's going to love you just because you exist and you have a great fight song, right? The way you get kids on the team who want to be a Gamecock is you do so much for them as a program that they want to be a Gamecock. And then they fall in love with what being a Gamecock means. Now, for some kids, that means NIL money. For some kids, it means your business or J school or law school is the best in the country, and I want to graduate from that school. For some kids, it means this coach is going to develop my playing ability and help me get a chance to go to the league. Whatever their reason is, kids don't come to Florida because they want to be a Gator. They come to Florida because Florida's got the most NIL money on the table, or the best amenities they care about, or the best, cow patty farming school in the country. And they want to be the best cow patty farmer in the game. And they grow from that, and then they love being a Gator. You guys put so many unrealistic and unequal expectations on college football players that you don't put on anybody else. And it's not cool. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Trey, I have not been to the College Hall of Fame yet, but it is on my bucket list to go. I'm going to Atlanta 4th of July weekend. Meeting the family in Helen, Georgia for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then Monday, we're off for the 4th on Monday. We're going into Atlanta to spend the day in Atlanta and then going to the Braves-Cardinals game that night. So we've got time to kill in Atlanta, and me and the little brother may very well check it out that day. I really want to. It looks magnificent. I just haven't made it yet.
Online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund.
I wonder if it's 6.
Have you heard about HIMS? Apparently, they take the awkwardness out of treating ED, and the process is really straightforward.
6.
Yeah.
R?
He gets his ED meds through that.
No.
Said their online process is much simpler than going to a doctor's office.
Oh, yeah, their entire process is only a few steps, and they only ship ED meds from certified pharmacies in the U.S. that are 100% FDA approved. All you got to do is go to 4hims.com/radio. You just answer a few questions, select your treatment preferences, and fill out some health information. Then a healthcare provider reviews the info and determines which medication, if any, is right for you. If it's prescribed, it ships free right to your door.
I think I'm going to check these HIMS guys out.
And get this, the ED medication I was prescribed is 90% cheaper than Viagra and has the same active ingredient. I can finally satisfy my partner.
For a free online consultation, go to forhims.com/radio. That's FORHIMS.com/radio. At CDW, we get balancing disparate clouds can be messy. Yep, it's like an ice cream cone. The more scoops you get, the greater the risk of failure. What if you want 5 scoops? You should get 5 scoops. And with the Nutanix Enterprise Cloud solution orchestrated by CDW, you can manage applications and data across all your clouds from a single point of control. Is it weird that my mouth is watering? A little. IT orchestration by CDW. People who get it. Find out more at cdw.com/Nutanix.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders.
Maybe I don't play it there. I don't know.
Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
The NBA Finals are here. Unlock every angle with coverage from the BetQL network. Get ahead of the game with early morning betting trends.
Yeah, Trey, I actually heard that as well. I'm a big Oktoberfest fan. Why wouldn't I be? A beer festival. How amazing could that not be? I've got my upstate bucket list, right? Or I guess I shouldn't say upstate because most of a lot of them are things I want to leave the upstate for, but not permanently, for a weekend. But Helen's Oktoberfest, Savannah's St. Patrick's Day, and Halloween are both on the list. I may get over there for Oktoberfest this year. We'll see. If I can't, take my helicopter to Germany. Man, T2 is playing a bunch of absolute bangers over there today. I know it's random, but my goodness.
Yeah,
the
man.
Selection is in fuego on a Wednesday.
You got to keep the energy up, man.
It's hump day. We're not the most energetic sports talk radio show in the South for no reason, my friends.
That's right.
Let's get it. All right. Phone lines are open, by the way. 844-FAN phone, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. You can text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, and we will read them on the air. Game number 3 of the NBA Finals take place this evening, and I am very much looking forward to it for a handful of reasons. Number one, it is because my pick is threatened. I genuinely thought that the Dubs would take 2 out of 2 at home and be headed to Boston up 2-0. They're not. It is 1-1 after Boston had a really, really good game one out of Al Horford. It elevated them up and over Golden State. Game number 2, a little bit different. Both games, I shouldn't say a little bit different, vastly different. Both of those games had a different look. Both had a different flow. Now, the C's were in the game with the Warriors till about the end of the third quarter. And then Golden State busted it open. Not surprising to me for a couple of reasons. Number one, Boston has been very, very bad in the third quarter throughout the NBA Finals. They had a couple of games. They had, 2 games against Miami where they really picked it up in the third quarter. And they had a good, not great, but good third quarter in game number 1. But in game 2, the third quarter slowdown was once again inevitable for the Boston Celtics. That has been the norm, not the exception. And now that the Warriors have figured out, if you beat up on Boston, you can see them get exasperated, right? It is not just that Draymond was being physical with the Boston Celtics. That's what the story has been so far, right? The story so far has been Draymond got physical with Boston. And yes, and that is what caused it. But ultimately what happened was that Boston reacted to him, right? We all get learnt a lot of lessons when we are young. One of those lessons is the very first way to get by a bully is to what? Ignore them, right? Don't react. When they say mean things about you, don't react. When they spread rumors about you, don't react. When internet trolls go online and start coming at you, don't react. Stay cool, stay calm, stay chill. They'll run out of gas because they're only doing it for the reaction. They're only doing it to get you to respond, to get you to come out of your shell, to get you to do something that is dumb, and they win. Don't react. I get trolls on the social media all the time. And while I often have some really, really funny lines to drop on them and make them look silly, I also recognize that's what they're doing, right? That's why they're doing it. That's what they're going for. They're going for that attention. Don't give it to them. Draymond is a bully on the basketball floor. He's a bully. He is not trying to hurt you. He is not trying to take you out of the game. He's not a goon. What he's trying to do is get in your head, because the more that you are thinking about Draymond Green, the more that you are thinking about, I'm going to get that guy back. I'm going to put him on a poster. I'm going to push him. I'm going to hit him. I'm going to scrum with him. The less you are thinking about the basketball game that is happening, right? The more you are focused on Draymond Green, the less you are focused on doing the things in your game plan that make you successful against him. That's what Draymond wanted in game 2. Draymond turned back into Draymond the bully. And when Draymond turned back into Draymond the bully, the Boston Celtics reacted to him. Go back and watch some of the clips. Go back and watch him getting into it with Jaylen Brown. Go back and watch when Draymond is putting his nose to the cheek of Marcus Smart. What do these guys do? They get exasperated with him. They react to him. They start playing more physical with him. That's not the game plan they came in with, right? They start trying to separate themselves from him in spots that may not fit the offense that they're trying to run. Draymond is a troll. He is a bully, and he is damn good at it. So in being a bully and being a troll and in getting the Boston Celtics to respond to him, to react to him, to engage with him, He takes them out of their flow. He takes them out of their rhythm. And when he gets them out of their flow, when he gets them out of their rhythm, you end up with events like Jason Tatum having the worst playoff game of his career. You end up with 6 combined points between 3 of Boston's 5 starters. You end up with the J&J connection, Jason and Jalen, carrying the weight of the starting 5 and doing a not great job of it. When Al Horford and Marcus Smart start reacting to Draymond Green, they get out of sorts, and you saw that. You saw that in the third quarter of that last game. They started to react to Draymond. They started to allow Draymond to dictate their behavior on the court. And when they did, the C's got out of a rhythm, got out of a routine. And when they did, the Boston Celtics offense faltered. It allowed Golden State to build up that lead by outscoring them almost 2-1 in the third quarter. And it allowed the Warriors to build a cushion. So when Boston finally got back to sorts in the fourth quarter, it was too little too late at that point. That is the MO of Draymond Green. And I can go ahead and tell you right now, look for Golden State to be exceptionally physical tonight. Look for Golden State to have Clay driving the lane, not sitting out at the 3 waiting for a 3. Look for Draymond to be bringing MMA-style hammer fists down on clowns underneath the basket, because they know they can get in Boston's head. They can take them off their game plan. They can win the first game back at TD Waterhouse at Boston Gardens, go up 2-1, and this series is in hand. However, there is one stat that I find interesting about Steve Kerr's Warriors. I'll tell you what that is when we come back. I'm Rob. He's T2. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
I'm Jason Marks with your Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate. In Major League Baseball, Ronald Acuna with a 2-home-run night, and Guillermo Heredia's solo shot in the 7th give the Atlanta Braves a 3-2 win over the Oakland A's, extending their winning streak to 6 games. Ian Anderson takes them out for Atlanta tonight as they go for the sweep.
And I gotta use the restroom.
LIV Golf Tour. Dustin Johnson announced he'll be leaving the PGA.
Our stream, we will be right back, kids. Don't go anywhere.
I got the skimmer up. Alonzo said I couldn't get it off of audio finder, so I'll do my best to clean it up.
ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for.
Oh crap! I meant to get some water and I forgot to. I got a minute and a half, minute and 45.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for full details and important safety information. Subscription required. Refund available for 60 days after purchase.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 90% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. You'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the biggest brands at 90% off. That's right, get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but 90% cheaper. It's the same medication you get from your doctor, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. Results are guaranteed or your money back. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
In the wee hours of the night, when everyone else is fast asleep, you're the one on third shift, burning the midnight oil. When a part fails,
Yeah, I'll answer that when we come back from break, Skrilla. The short answer is maybe. The long answer is I haven't seen it yet, so I don't have any reason to believe it was there.
just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Nature Valley has helped restore access to 10,000 miles of national park trails, and we're on our way to restoring even more.
7 seconds.
Life happens out there. Nature Valley.
Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app. Make the fan upstate a favorite.
All right, wrapping up the second hour of the broadcast. Our buddy Josh, a.k.a. DJ Skrilla, on the stream, which, by the way, you can go behind the scenes of the show on the stream as well by going to facebook.com/thefanupstate. You can also go to YouTube and search The Rob Brown Show on YouTube. Skrilla says, Rob, do the Celtics have the testicular fortitude to stand up to Draymond Green and win these games at home? As a casual NBA fan, I feel it's better for them now or better for the game for them to make it happen now. Listen, yes, of course, the NBA is better served by a 7-game competitive series. Game 7 would be obviously the most watched NBA game of the year. Of course, that's what they're looking for. Can the Celtics get there? I don't know. Now, here's what I do know about the Celtics. Do they have the testicular fortitude? Maybe. But they didn't show it in game 2. And because I've already got people telling me, well, Rob, if the Dubs were able to do it in game 2, why didn't they do it in game 1? The answer is I don't know that either. Remember, the Warriors had a couple of extra days off from the Celtics, who went to 7 with Miami in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I don't know. Maybe it was they just didn't have the chemistry that night. I'm not sure what it was. But Draymond specifically said after game 2 that he knew he needed to ramp up the intensity. He needed to ramp up the physicality. And he did, and it worked for the reasons I said in the last segment. He got into Boston's head. He made them change their attack because they were trying to actively avoid getting into a scrap with Draymond. Remember when he, in the first quarter, went to the ground with, who was it, Brown? And kind of pushed him in the back a little bit. Brown got up, turned around, and stepped over Draymond. Remember, we have seen technical fouls, not like text messages. We have seen texts come in the NBA from guys stepping over and getting into the grill of players that are on the ground. And remember, the old adage in sports, it's not the first guy who gets the foul called, it's the guy defending himself. Draymond knows that. He exploited that. Now, the second tech did not come, but he knows. I will also say, in the Celtics' favor, that because of that play, yes, the officials are going to have eyes on Draymond Green tonight. Draymond is going to have to be much more careful in Game 3 than he was in Game 2. But to answer that question, do the Celtics have the testicular fortitude to stand up to Draymond Green? The answer is maybe, but I haven't seen it. Granted, it's only been one game, right? Draymond in Game 1 was not as physical as he was in Game 2. In Game 2, Draymond got wild, and the C's did not know how to respond to that. They could have. At any point in the third quarter, the C's could have responded. But keep in mind, this is one of those cases where the answer to a physical bully is not physicality, right? I cannot tell you how many stories I have from my past, how many stories we've seen online where somebody finally decides to physically confront the bully, and then the bully kicks their ass, right? He wants you to swing. He wants you to come at him. He wants you to get physical. He wants you to go. And if you hit the bully, now he's got carte blanche to hit you back. And the bully typically is a bully because they are naturally bigger and stronger than the people that they are bullying. Not always, but most of the time. Draymond hopes that Boston swings. And I'm not talking about a physical, literal fight. I'm talking about getting into shoving matches with him, getting into pushing contests with him, beating him up under the basket. Because Draymond can exploit that. It also, again, takes Boston out of their game. It takes Boston out of their game. That being said, in his tenure as the head coach of the Golden State Warriors, Steve Kerr's teams are 0-3 in Game 3s where they are 1-1 in the series. Now, that is a very specific stat, right? 0-3 in Game 3s where the series is split one game apiece. It's a very specific stat for Steve Kerr's tenure as the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. But what I read into that, what I take away from that, is that the Warriors tend to do what I think they did coming into Game 1. That is to say, they get a little cocky. They get a little in over their heads. They get a little overconfident, and it slows your game up, right? You get cocky, you get overconfident, it slows your game up. You don't play the game the way that you play the game when you are fighting. I think there was a little bit of that in Game 1. I think they had a longer rest. Offenses take more time to gel than defenses. I think those couple of days of rest combined with a little bit of overconfidence. Remember, coming into the NBA Finals, the Dubs were what? Minus 165 to win the title? That's pretty hefty odds out of Vegas for one team in an NBA Finals. I mean, those are odds I expect in the wild card round, in the opening round. Minus 165 out of the gate is ridiculous money coming in on favor of Golden State. And even the best professional athletes can get caught up in reading their own press clippings. So I don't wonder if Golden State came into that game one a little bit overconfident, a little bit cocky, that they were just going to roll the Dubs logo out onto the floor and Boston was going to pack it up and go home and say, all right, we'll give you the first two. They didn't. In game number two, Boston got settled down like a lot. And while it would be very easy to say Boston just had an off night, it happens to even the best teams. While it's easy to say Boston just had a bad night, the fair question is, did Boston have a bad night or did Golden State force them into a bad night? And I think it's that one. I think Draymond and company were so aggressive, were so physical that Boston got out of sorts and it pushed them into having a bad game. Here's the question I have about Golden State. We talked about them being overconfident, being cocky in game one. I think they were. The question mark is going to be, is it the same in game three? They got a win. They drummed the C's in game two. Do they look at it and go, okay, cool. That's Warriors basketball. That's Golden State hoops. That's what we do. We got these guys. We know how to beat them. There's no way that they take it from us. And they come back out lackadaisical for game three. Being 0 for 3 in game threes, where the series is split 1-1, leads me to believe that that is a realistic possibility. Leads me to believe that that is absolutely something that could happen. Not that it will, but that it could. So what are we looking for tonight in game number 3? What are we keeping our eyes on? What do we want to see? Number 1, throughout these playoffs, Boston has gone the way their turnover record has gone. When Boston has turned the ball over 15 times or fewer, they are 13-2. When Boston has turned the ball 16 times over to the other team, they are 0-5. Let me be cliche. One stat to rule them all. If you're Golden State, shut down lanes, harass the ball handler, cause turnovers. If you get to 16, you win. If you do not, you lose. That is what it has played out so far. Second thing I'm looking for, and I've mentioned this guy 100 times, and if the Warriors win tonight, I suspect I'll do it 100 more tomorrow. But Draymond Green. Play angry, play physical. In the NBA Finals, the officiating is traditionally much looser than it is in the regular season. They want to let you play. They want to have a physical series. That may change since Draymond went on his podcast this week and talked about how he wanted to beat up Boston, talked about how he wanted to harass them, talked about how he wanted to be physical with them. But if Draymond can do this a second time, Golden State wins the second time. Third thing I'm looking for, keep an eye on Jason Tatum. Keep an eye on Jason Tatum. The game 1 win in the finals. Jason Tatum had a career high 13 assists. I need that from him again tonight. It's not to say I don't need him scoring. That's not to say I don't need him making runs at the rack and trying to kiss the glass. What I'm saying is 13 assists got them the dub. I need that again tonight. I'm also keeping an eye on Clay. Clay had a bad shooting night in game 1, a little bit better in game 2. I need him to continue to improve. I need him to get better. I also need Jordan Poole to be a better floor shooter. 8 of 21 is the average for Jordan Poole in the playoffs per game. Averaging 21 shots, averaging making 8. I need that to come up to 13. 12 at the minimum. I need him to put the brown thing and the round thing a few more times than he's done. So your keys tonight. less than 16 or less than 15 turnovers and more than 13 assists for Tatum, C's win. Jordan Poole and the rest of his guys shooting better outside of Steph Curry and Draymond not fouling out of this game, Dubs win. I'm taking Golden State. Give them to me 101-92 tonight. Quick break, back after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's the Fan Upstate.
The National Football League is trying to do something that has a good intention here. The execution sucks. The National Football League announced a new rule this week
Oops.
that requires all 32 teams to hire an offensive coach who is either a female or a member of an ethnic or racial minority.
Okay.
Now every team in the NFL is required to hire a woman or person of color. Let me just ask you this question right off the top here. How many of you respond well in your life to or else? The problem is, if you've noticed what's happened with the Rooney Rule, it's become a mockery. Okay, we've interviewed the one black guy, and now we're going to go hire a white guy.
Number one for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7 on the fan.
Upstate.
Mark Ryan tells it like it is.
To Clemson fans, I am presenting to you with a deal from the banker. You are the champion of the ACC. You have won the ACC, and you are going to a New Year's Six game, but you are not going to the college football playoff. Deal or no deal, or do you press your luck? Do you keep going?
I think a lot of Clemson fans are in the playoff or bust mindset now, especially with Cade Klubnik. DJ may get a lot better this year. DJ may take you farther than just an ACC title with a New Year's Six game. I think that's a no deal for me.
I'll even give you the New Year's Six win, dude. So if I give you the New Year's Six win, does that change anything?
No, I think you still press your luck. Clemson wants to earn that blue blood status. We talked about it last week. You got to keep making the playoff. You got to keep winning titles.
Number one for real afternoon sports talk.
Offsides with Mark Ryan.
3 to 7 on the fan.
Upstate. Now CBS Sports Radio.
The fan upstate. Here's how to get in the game. On your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville. 97.1 FM, 950 AM, Spartanburg.
Listen on your phone. Download the Odyssey app and search the Fan Upstate.
There's a whole lot more to know about sound if you really want to go into the subject.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at
TheFanUpstate.com.
Individual results may vary. There's no guarantee that past performance will be indicative of future results. Invest wisely.
Paid for by Chaikin Analytics. Mark Chaikin is someone you're supposed to hate. He spent 50 years on Wall Street helping to
Steven says, "What's up, T2?"
He's
Oh.
everyone from Jim
Hey, what's up, Steven?
And today, he's sharing an urgent warning to tell anyone
What's going on in your world?
a very strange day is coming to America.
The Black Adam trailer just dropped.
Yeah, it was. I had it up on Twitter. It's trending.
Leave it there.
The public even worse off than before, says Chaikin. If you want to be on the right side of the huge new shift that he predicts is coming to the market, you absolutely must consider buying one particular type of
Okay.
before it's too late, he says.
Wait on this 10 o'clock hour to come through. 58, 59. Yep, we're good. Alright, I'll be right back.
Then a healthcare provider reviews the info and
Hey, Rob, Steven says you weren't there.
I wasn't where?
I wasn't where. I don't know.
In the wee hours of the night, when everyone else is fast asleep, you're the one on third shift, burning the midnight oil. When a part fails, everything comes to a grinding halt. Regardless of what the clock on the wall says, you leap into action. Granger is with you, and all the ones who get it done. With 24/7 customer support by phone or click to chat. Call, click Granger.com, or stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Slater's construction company has built a solid reputation. Foundation looks great. Let's get a team in place for analysis. Now they need structural engineers to support their business expansion. We should have engineers in-house. That would put us ahead of the competition. Indeed can help them hire great people fast. I need Indeed. Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Earn up to $500 in sponsored job credits by conducting interviews on Indeed. Visit Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. Here we go, coming back. And we're recording this time.
The third, the final, the best, the money hour of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Hello, Upstate South Carolina. Hello, America. Hello, world. Great to be back with you once again. I am Rob Brown, joined today by T2 Tim Snow, the Timinator, filling in for the great one, Lonzo, out on vacation this week. He's over on the east coast of South Kakalaki. Of course, Lonzo somewhere right now, tarp off, bathed in tanning oil, enjoying his time in the sunshine, if I know Lonzo like I do.
Yeah, basking in the sun.
Oh, he is going to come back a bronzed god on Monday. But we got Tim, too, the majestic mane adorning the stream today. Appreciate the week, pal.
Yeah, man. I'm right here for you, man.
I love it. Love to hear it. Join us on the stream. Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, or go to YouTube and search The Rob Brown Show. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I got to start getting more videos up, man.
I'm going to go subscribe to your YouTube channel.
I love it.
Now.
You'll be confused and horrified most of the time. We stream the show all 3 hours every single day because we want you guys to have the opportunity to listen and, jump in during the chat and talk with us a little bit. We take questions off the air. And by the way, the off-air conversation is more frequently about not sports than it is about sports. So,
yeah.
If you're a sports guy, the radio show is for you. If you're down for anything else, join us on the stream because it gets a little ridiculous sometimes, but we have fun doing it. Also want to tell you that the podcast is available for you as well. And there's two different styles of podcasts. First off, all 3 hours of the show are uploaded to our podcast. You can go to thefanupstate.com. thefanupstate.com. When you go to thefanupstate.com, right at the top of the page is a button that says podcast. Well, first on the left, it says listen live. And if you click on that, you can use your computario to listen to the show anytime. So if you're one of those unfortunate suckers who got to stay in an office every day, all day, you can listen to us right there on your desktop or laptop and PC by going to thefanupstate.com and clicking on Listen Live. Then, right underneath the Fan Upstate logo is a little button that says Podcast. Hover over that. It's going to drop down options, Offsides with Mark Ryan, and The Rob Brown Show. Now, you can listen to both podcasts, but you should listen to The Rob Brown Show podcast. Every single day, we put up all 3 hours of the show for your perusal. You may go and listen to the full hours of the show and listen to every damn word I have to say. You know that movie, G2?
Yeah.
Wedding Singer.
Wedding
baby.
Singer, that's right.
Adam Sandler. The other option you have is every day we put up 3 to 4 highlight segments of the show. The 3 best segments of the show go up, and they're edited down. So we take off the intro and exit to every segment. We kill all of the silence out of the segment. So those last anywhere from 6 to 19 minutes. So smaller digestible portions. Like, for instance, the last few segments that are up there right now. Yesterday's segment, where I told you that the only reason that guys like Steve Spurrier and Nick Saban and Brian Kelly are speaking out is because their blue blood schools are seeing their superiority threatened in the recruiting world by NIL money. I also have the segment up from yesterday where we talked about the stupid umpire who pushed a college baseball player because he's dumb. We have yesterday's segment about the LIV Tour that is up regarding Dustin Johnson, Phil Mickelson, and others bailing on the PGA Tour for piles of money, and why I absolutely do have a problem with working for the Saudis, but also entirely understand why it is that they would do that and take that much money. We have the segment up from a couple of days ago about the John Gruden lawsuit, the Chucky lawsuit, and why Chucky, having the attorneys that he has, the same attorneys who represented the Las Vegas Raiders in their lawsuit that Chucky filed against them, is really bad news for Roger Goodell. We have the full breakdown if you want to listen to it before tonight's Game 3. We have the full breakdown of Game 2 of the NBA Finals. And my favorite segment of the week from back on Monday, we have the segment where I talked about the cheese roll, the dumbest event in all of sports, which was a hilarious segment despite my rage brought on the air over it.
It was a good segment, though.
Oh, it was a blast.
It was fun.
Those people are still idiots, but it was a blast.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree.
Yeah, because I'm right. Also want to let you know that so you can grab all those podcasts from thefanupstate.com. We are also now officially available on iTunes and Spotify as well. So wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, or off our website, make sure that you are subscribed to the Rob Brown Show podcast and don't miss a minute of the 2021 South Carolina Broadcasters Association's Sports Talk Radio Show of the Year. A few more stories I wanted to get into. Won't spend a ton of time on it because we have, already done that this week. But 2 more big names have been announced as members of the LIV Tour, the Saudi Arabian-backed Rebel Golf Tour, which gets its start tomorrow. I love you tomorrow. We already knew that the 51-year-old hefty-lefty Phil Mickelson, who has not played golf competitively since his controversial comments about the breakaway series back in February, is going to be playing. We also know that Dustin Johnson is going to be playing, South Carolina's own. We talked about that. We've talked about some of the other names that have joined the tour. Kevin Na, Sergio Garcia amongst them. 2 more have now made the list, according to reports. Bryson DeChambeau has joined the LIV Tour, and Patrick Reed have joined the LIV Tour. Now, I got to tell you, in about a week and a half, this went from a league that I thought was going to be a failure, right? Because what little bit of credibility Phil Mickelson brought to the table by being the biggest name to sign up was undone by two things. Number one, he was kind of by himself, right? At the time, there weren't many other golfers who had announced that they were going to join the tour. And the majority of them that did were unknown to anybody but the most hardcore golf fans. The second thing that made me believe the LIV Tour was probably DOA was Phil's comments, right? Because while we all heard Saudi Arabian-backed golf league, I think the majority of us didn't really instantly go into, oh, you mean those murder people? Those people who do all the murders, right? We didn't really jump to that conclusion immediately. At least I didn't, and maybe that's on me. But Phil was like, hey, here's all the really bad things about the people that are paying me $200 million to come play golf for 20 weekends this year. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. We forgot about the murders. Whoops. So I thought the comments from Phil and the fact that Phil, it seemed like, was kind of dangling out in the wind without any other big names joining him led me to believe that there was a better than zero chance that Lefty was going to end up on a tour that, frankly, wasn't going to have many names, much firepower to justify all the attention. But since then, those names have showed up. Charles Schwartzel has showed up. Sergio Garcia has showed up. Louis Oosthuizen has shown up. Dustin Johnson has shown up. Kevin Na has shown up. Bryson DeChambeau has now shown up. Patrick Reed has now shown up. What do all of those golfers have in common with each other? With the exception of Kevin Na, at least off the top of my head. All of them have won a major. All of them have won one of the biggest 4 events on the PGA Tour. All of them have some serious hardware at the house. Now there's names. Now there's credibility. Now there's something to this that all of the sudden it looks a more genuine. It looks a little more genuine. It looks a little bit more legitimate. Now, I will say, yesterday's presentation by the LIV Tour, as they had their first public event the day before they tee off for the first time, didn't go great. The LIV Tour is going to be played under a semi-team format. And they introduced the teams yesterday. Teams like Fireballs and Ironheads. They're not great names. The 4 Aces, the High Flyers, that's Phil's team. The 4 Aces, by the way, captained by Dustin Johnson. The High Flyers, spelled H-Y. The H-Y Flyers. The Punch. That's the team name. Punch. The Cleeks. C-L-E-E-K-S. The Ironheads. The Smash. The Crushers. The Majestics, spelled like sticks, S-T-I-C-K-S.
I actually kind of like that one.
Majestics.
I like that one.
The Stinger. The Fireballs. The Niblix. And the torque. Those are the teams that have been announced for the LIV Tour. And the logos of these teams are every bit as bad as you would expect them to be. They look like they were commissioned by a bunch of 7th grade art students who just figured out how Photoshop works. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad overall. So they are set to play at Pumpkin Ridge Golf Club in Portland, Oregon, June 30th and July 2nd. That's the next event, and it is the first stateside event. I'm curious to see what the turnout looks like for that. I'm curious to see how American golf fans react to that. I'm curious to see how American golf fans show up. But these are names. Bryson DeChambeau showing up is big. Bryson DeChambeau, Patrick Reed showing up is big. These are names that take away from the PGA Tour, right? Because it's not just about can this tour draw an audience in the face of the employers, in the face of the Saudi Arabian crown murderer prince that is heading this thing. It is also, can the PGA Tour carry on as successfully when now they have 8, 9 guys that would be in contention for any given podium at any given tournament playing on the LIV Tour, right? It's not just the fact that there is a breakaway tour that has taken away a number of the PGA's most recognizable names. It is that there is now a breakaway tour that has taken away 8 or 9 of the most recognizable names that also brought eyeballs to the PGA Tour. Can they survive? Can they coexist? I don't even know if they can coexist, to be honest with you. Anyway, golf fans, what's your thoughts? Text us on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. You can give us a buzz at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-FAN-FONE. That's 844-326-3663. Back after this, Rob, T2, and you on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
All right. Let's see if I can do this real quick. I mean, it's not gonna be perfect, but I can try to get that crunch out as best I can.
Yeah, if you don't mind, whatever you can do to it.
It was about 15, 16 minutes.
investments were clearly different. So high-commission investment products, right? Fisher Investments doesn't sell any. You want to make sure it's convenient. So if you find your medical need, it is met immediately. We're a fiduciary obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest
Okay.
standard of care.
That's Prisma Health.
How do you know what's in their best interest? We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs. But you probably
Get rid of that.
we have one transparent management
So.
fee, structured so we do better when our clients do better. Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
It's the fan upstate.
That's
Welcome
because
in.
our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us.
It's the fan upstate.
Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
Hey, welcome in.
With NFL Network now on the Westwood One Radio Network. 12 teams opened up mandatory minicamp on Tuesday, including the 49ers, Seahawks, and Packers. For Green Bay, that meant more talk about the future for quarterback Aaron Rodgers. The 38-year-old signed a 3-year, $150 million extension with the Packers earlier this offseason.
It's the fan upstate.
He doesn't know how much longer he plans to play. He will definitely
Welcome
start
in.
his career in a Packers uniform. For San Francisco,
It's the fan upstate. Welcome in. Rob, the Timinator.
the trade before the draft, and the two sides have been unable to reach a contract extension.
T2 Tim Snow filling in for the great one, Lonzo. He
was back on the field with his teammates. And elsewhere in the NFC West, DK Metcalf was not.
I have the rest of it recorded. Just that first
Okay.
segment was a little choppy, but I'm just gonna go home, grab some food, and then I'll come back here and work on it.
Cool. I appreciate it. Oh, you got to come back anyway for Charlie's show, right?
Yep.
Okay. Say, don't come back up here just for that.
Oh no, I gotta be back here anyway. I'll just come back a little bit earlier. See if I
Don't
can
hustle.
Get it done.
I got to go home after the show anyway, so I'll be working from home. So don't hustle.
Oh,
Enjoy your
I love
lunch.
doing stuff like this anyway, so it's
Okay.
not a problem.
Just enjoy your lunch.
In the wee hours of the night, when everyone else is fast asleep, you're the one on third shift, burning the midnight oil. When a part fails and everything comes to a grinding halt, regardless of what the clock on the wall says, you leap into action. Granger is with you and all the ones who get it done. With 24/7 customer support by phone or click to chat. Call, click Granger.com.
Man.
Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Whether it's a bad kick, nagging back
Sag.
pain, or a hip that has you hobbling, nothing matters.
Was
when
it hour
you get
two?
back to feeling your best.
Sag
South
one.
Carolina's most preferred orthopedic provider and official team doctors for the Gamecocks and Tigers, Prisma Health provides all the care you need. With more expertise, more technology, and more locations closer to you, we're doing even more to help you be your healthiest you. Prisma Health, the orthopedic experts.
This report is sponsored by Firebird's Wood-Fired Grill. One cup at a time. Firebird's Wood-Fired Grill fights back against childhood cancer. Join Firebird's Wood-Fired Grill during Lemonade Days, June 10th through 12th, and all June long, as there are several ways to donate to
Okay,
Alex's
that's
Lemonade
weird.
Stand
All right.
Foundation, whether ordering online or dining in.
Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the fan upstate.
Oh crap, dude! This stupid mouse. Just go, cause we got.
Welcome back, the Rob Brown Show on your radio. This is the fan upstate. The mouse that runs the music computer goes to sleep, and you have to click. But the problem is, I don't know about you. Every time I've had to do a T2, I freak out, and I'm like, if I click something, it's just gonna start playing something randomly, and it's gonna go chaotic.
No, I don't. I know that, but like, yeah, it is annoying when that mouse goes to sleep.
Struggles of radio. It's all right. We're getting through it. All right. So, perusing college football articles this morning, as I am wont to do. I mean, don't you wake up and immediately start looking at college football articles? No? Just me? Okay, then.
I was like, do you really want me to answer that?
Yeah, T2's like, no, bro. T2's like, I roll up, I walk outside, I do human things.
Yeah.
Not me. I wake up and I'm scrolling Twitter like, who said something dumb last night?
Yeah, not me. I don't do it.
Came across one that was written by Connor O'Gara of Saturday Down South, which is it's objectively one of my favorite sites. He wrote an article entitled "The 5 SEC Offenses That Are Destined for Improvement in 2022." And wouldn't you know it, number one on that list, the Gamecocks of South Carolina. Says South Carolina should have one of the most improved offenses in the Southeastern Conference as a whole. And I read that, and initially my thought was, hey, Gamecocks getting a little love. I like that, right? Like initially my response was, I am glad to see that there are prominent writers that are starting to see that the Gamecocks offense will be better next year. Then I thought, but also like, duh, a little bit, right? Like it kind of seems like the obvious there. It kind of seems like the obvious. It kind of seems like it just kind of is. Like obviously they are, right? I mean, last year, and by the way, if you listened to the show during last year, you know my infinite amount of respect for Zeb Noland, a graduate assistant who stepped in and was like, okay, I'm an SEC starting quarterback now. Infinite respect for Luke Doty, who just the injury bug would not let up on my guy last year. For Jason Brown, who stepped in and did work, was probably the most consistent of that group. Respect for those guys. But you have got an extra year under the belt of Marcus Satterfield, which, by the way, his offensive scheme got better as the year went on. You have got talent now. Some transferred in, some recruit, some that stepped up last year. Guys like Jaheim Bell. You got Austin Stogner coming in from Oklahoma. Josh Vann, DK Joyner, Marshawn Lloyd. Antoine Wells, an FCS transfer that was putting up fat numbers at that level and is going to take his shot at an upper-level league. You've got opportunities here. You've got players. You've got playmakers. And, of course, no shock here, but that guy playing quarterback, Spencer Rattler, a guy that had a phenomenal debut season, a guy who was a Heisman Trophy finalist favorite in Las Vegas going into last year. But, obviously, you cannot mention Spence without talking about the fact that he did not live up to expectations for OU and lost his job last year. You have to mention that. But I've given you my argument a bunch of times. I won't go crazy deep into it here, but I've given you my argument about that so far, right? I think Spencer Rattler got to a point where he was a little overconfident, was handed the keys to one of the most prestigious organizations in college football at Oklahoma, and had the highest possible expectations placed on him. You cannot have higher expectations placed on you than we expect you to be a Heisman Trophy finalist and we expect you to compete for a national championship. And I just don't think he was ready for the moment. As I've said a number of times, I don't think that I am being disrespectful to say those expectations don't exist at South Carolina, right? Like, nobody is expecting a Heisman Trophy in Columbia. Nobody is expecting a national championship in Columbia, at least not yet. I don't think he's got that pressure. I don't think he has those expectations to live up to. And since he doesn't have that pressure and those expectations to live up to, you should see Spencer Rattler play a little bit better football this year. O'Gara says he expects that South Carolina, quote, should improve by at least a touchdown per game. So I went and checked with what our buddy Corey Diaz had to say. Corey, of course, covers the Gamecocks for the Greenville News. We've had him on the show. When we get to football season, he will rejoin us weekly to break down Gamecock football. I went and I looked at what some of the post-spring practice projections of Corey Diaz were. Now, I watched a lot of the spring practices, but Corey was at all of them, eyeballs on, as much as anybody with the exception of, like, Shane Beamer himself, right? He said a few things stuck out. One of them was how much better the offensive line looks this year than they did even towards the end of last year when South Carolina's offensive numbers started to trend upwards. Of course, that was before they got curb stomped by Clemson to end the year. He said one of the things that stuck out to him the most last year, one of the things that really bothered him the most last year, was how wildly inconsistent the Gamecocks offensive line was. He said, quote, what stuck out the most was the group's inconsistent play in the red zone, giving up a couple of sacks that stalled drives and settling for field goals. Yes. He points out that now, with Eric Douglas, a super senior taking the extra year, with right guard Jovan Gwynn, a lot of experience on the left-hand side, he said that through spring practice, the pass pro looked much better. Which again, the good news is Spencer Rattler has more escapability than Zeb Nolan, Jason Brown, or Luke Doty have had at all. He has the opportunity to get outside the pocket, move around, and make defenses chase him down. Now, he's got good pass pro on the left side. But he points out that the tackles are both a little more inexperienced. And that is where the problems will come from. So we'll see how that shapes up. He says that the Gamecocks are continuing to search for the running back. Marshawn Lloyd, the pre-spring favorite frontrunner to take possession on the depth chart. But he said Marshawn had not a great spring. Not a great spring. Said that Juju McDowell and Wake Forest grad transfer Christian Beal-Smith also had quality springs. So Marshawn Lloyd did not have an awful spring. It wasn't like he came out losing his spot, but he certainly did not look like he was going to break away from the pack, like he was going to break away from McDowell and Christian Beal. But that if he wants to be the starter, he needs to keep improving. Not great news. South Carolina used the run to set up the pass. Right now, they don't have the guy to fall back on in the run. Talks about the linebacker core. Says that USC linebackers core is one in which a single injury could derail them almost entirely. So they get some guys back. Sherrod Green went down with that season-ending injury, against Georgia in week 3 last year. He is in position to be back this year and be 100% by fall, and a guy that can be a quarterback. Also talks about Brad Johnson, another 6-year guy who's been remarkably reliable, who should be back. But again, you basically have 2 good guys and then a cast that will be rotating in the rest of the way. One injury derails the linebackers. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. He says, O'Gara says he expects South Carolina to improve by at least a touchdown this year. I got no problem with that projection. I think he's good. A touchdown a game better is a reasonable expectation. How many wins does that translate to? We'll have to break that down as we get closer to football season. Texter on the Preferred Home Services text line says, hey, that's great. South Carolina will only lose to Clemson 30-7 this year. Good text. Good text. We got one segment left. We'll hit a couple of highlights on the way out. Twitter trending topics to wrap it all up. You're listening to the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate.
QC.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about our friends at QC Kinetics. QC Kinetics offers non-surgical regenerative therapy. You didn't ask me what that means because those words are self-explanatory, but what is not self-explanatory is how it works and the science behind it. It is a science that professional athletes have taken advantage of for years, but for years, they had to travel to Europe to receive this treatment. So you'd have NFL and NBA players that would fly across the pond, receive the non-surgical regenerative therapy, and then come back to play ball. Now you can get that therapy right here in the upstate. QC Kinetics harnesses your body's natural healing power. You know what I mean? When you're younger, that connective tissue in your joints, you could go out there and run for hours and hours and hours, and whatever connective tissue wore down, it would heal, it would regenerate. But over time, you lose that ability. And eventually you're going to get told, oh, you got to have a new knee, a new hip. We got to fuse your vertebrae. Well, before you do that and sign off on a surgery, call QC Kinetics. Let them harness your body's natural healing power. Allow your body to go back to healing and restoring that connective tissue, getting rid of the inflammation, getting rid of the pain, and maybe most importantly, getting rid of the side effects of that pain. I'm talking about being afraid to pick up your grandkids because you know your hips are going to hurt the next day. Being afraid to go play 18 because you know your shoulders and elbows and wrists are going to hurt the next day. Being afraid to go out there and run up and down the court a few times with the guys because you know your knees are going to hurt the next day. Get rid of that pain. Get rid of the fear of that pain and do so with our friends at QC Kinetics. Give them a call at 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that first consultation for free. Go to QCkinetics.com to learn more about how it works. QCkinetics.com. It's our friends at QC Kinetics.
All right, I shall return.
We shall be right here, pal. All right, what's on the stream? Let's see. Steven says, have you watched Ms. Marvel that dropped today? Not yet. The lady friend is out of town tonight. So I've got the house to myself. So I've got three things. I've got the newest episode of Obi-Wan, which I will watch after work. I will watch NBA Finals Game 3 after that. And then I will watch Ms. Marvel after that. I'm excited about Ms. Marvel. I'm intrigued. It looks like it's going to fit more inside the MCU canon than Moon Knight did. So I'm excited to see how that plays into it. Daniel showing up, big Bolts guy. Said back to even, got to steal a game in New York. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And look, here's the thing. The Rangers have been good at home. Madison Square has been locked down, but Nikita and the boys have been in fuego lately. Nikita Kucherov looked like a gem, an absolute beaut in that last game. So if you can rely on him, if Nikita in the first line can go out there and get you on early, you shake the Rangers a little bit. I think it's realistic to expect 1-1 in New York and go back to Tampa with a chance to close that thing out. You do not want to take it to 7. You don't. Lad says, good morning. Good morning, Lad. Welcome in. Good to have you on the stream, pal. Power play goals, power of the Rangers. Yeah, I don't think they've scored a 5-on-5 goal in the series, have they? Or at least not in the last 2 or 3 games. They haven't scored a 5v5 goal. Which means that if you were the Lightning, play disciplined hockey, right? Play disciplined hockey. Don't make mistakes. Don't slip up. Keep those sticks down. Don't give them those power play opportunities. Trey says, I feel like I need to watch Maverick, Obi-Wan, and Ms. Marvel before the Upstate Pulse on Saturday. Yes, you do. Yes, you do, my friend. Because I will hold back on spoilers. Lonzo, not so much. Also, we are graced with the presence of the other half of the Upstate Pulse, T2, Timinator.
Hey, what's going on?
Produces that show. Upstate Pulse 106.3 WORD, Saturday 7 to 9. It is the best nerd show in the galaxy.
That's Babbel.com. BABBEL.com.
Hey everyone, I'm Ron Darling. And I'm Jimmy Rod. The official
Daniel, I watched a few minutes of it, and it's not that I'm not interested in it. I'm very interested in it. It's that it dropped right at the beginning of what was going on. I had like 3 different things going on, and it just did not fit in. But I have every plan. To go back and watch the Halo. I loved Halo. Like Halo
I watched
dropped when I was in college.
I watched the first 4 episodes of it.
Good?
Yeah.
I heard it's good.
Yeah, the CGI is a little rough, but
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
other
not
than
a huge
that,
production value show, which is too bad because it's the thing that made Halo so great
was the graphics.
and how varied it was. I mean, it wasn't
Yeah.
like there's a lot of games that like reuse the same graphics and just move them around.
Mhm.
And going between the ship, the ring, Halo itself, onto the Covenant ship, the Flood was terrifying. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it was amazing. It was an amazing game. It dropped when I was in college, and we used to do full-out LAN parties in my fraternity house. Like,
yeah, we did
to play
too.
multiplayer. It
We
was
did
amazing.
too. Where you had to link all the Xboxes together with the
We were running
Ethernet.
cords like through apartment
Yeah,
complexes. It was all, it was
we
amazing.
did the exact same thing. We had to bring our big tube TVs and everything. Oh man, we had so much fun playing though.
Halo was great. Halo was a game changer. Lad says, I've already watched Kenobi before work this morning. We'll get to Miss Marvel probably tomorrow. Tonight is all about the seas. Yeah, I'm good with that.
I haven't gotten to Miss Marvel yet. I'm
It just
trying to
dropped
get
today.
through.
It's not even, I mean, it dropped after we got here.
Trying to get through Stranger Things. And of course, I'm watching Kenobi.
Of course, the seas don't start until 9 o'clock.
What?
Yeah, I got plenty of time. The Celtics game, the
Oh
Boston game.
yeah.
Tanya said I watched the first thing, it was good. Then I got busy and haven't finished. Yeah, it's same here. I jumped in and then I had a bunch of crap come up and I didn't go back to finish
6
it yet, but I
seconds.
will. Daniel says Halo 2 delayed my college graduation at least 2 years. You and a lot of other folks, my guy. You and a lot of other guys. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate. Thanks for hanging out with us today, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to have you along for the ride. We're talking about pop culture in the stream. The Halo series, Miss Marvel has dropped its first episode. Episode 4 of Obi-Wan Kenobi dropped earlier this morning.
Episode 4.
And I gotta tell you, if you are a nerd television fan, it's a good time to have a TV right now.
Yeah.
Good time. Excited to see Moon Knight. I thought Moonlight was excellently done. It was also the most unique Marvel property in years.
I'll
right?
agree. Yeah, it was really good though. Like really
Exceptional.
good.
I loved it. It was, and it you know, kind of deep dived. It deep dived into the stories that were being told by the main protagonist. It dropped into you know, the what is it, dissociative identity disorder that was suffered by the protagonist. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was really well done, top to bottom. But Moon Knight could have been shown. And if you don't deeply follow what Marvel has done with their movies over the past 15 years now, it's a standalone show. You don't need to be ingrained in the Marvel Cinematic Universe to be able to enjoy Moon Knight. A lot of the other properties are heavily reliant on you having watched all the other Marvel movies, which is great, by the way. I'm not against that. I love that. You can watch Moon Knight standalone, and you can't watch WandaVision standalone.
No, you couldn't.
You'd have no idea what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
You can't watch any out. Basically, the only standalone properties are What If, which was great.
Yeah.
And Moon Knight, which was good. Miss Marvel looks like it is going to be more heavily ingrained into the heavily popular MCU. Like there's going to be a lot of Iron Man references and Thor and Cap and Black Widow and all of that.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah, so I suspect you're going to have to be a little bit more up to date, like have seen all the movies to really get into Miss Marvel, which makes sense because the character as a comic book was an Avengers fangirl turned Avenger. So it makes it kind of interesting, but I also think to see what the prospect of a more diverse cast of superheroes brings to the table can be interesting. You've got Kamala, who comes from a Muslim background. She's going to be the first Muslim superhero. Moon Knight introduced Golden Scarab, who is the first Egyptian superhero. Like they're going after the success of Black Panther to diversify the roster a little bit, and I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, same here. I want to see, how the characters, develop from here on out.
Yeah. And then Obi-Wan, spoiler-free edition of Obi-Wan, Darth Vader was a badass.
Oh my God.
In episode 3.
He was.
I mean, an absolute badass.
Yeah, if you ever read the expanded universe, read the comics, back in the day, it does Vader justice just in this,
Yeah.
for where we are now.
If your experience with Star Wars is outside of the 2 trilogies, if you've gotten into the comic books or any of the 1,000 novels that have been written, now getting to see Darth Vader, because we saw obviously the rise of Vader with Anakin turning in the first trilogy, or in the second trilogy, I guess, and we saw down the line Vader in the original trilogy, who was good, but like terrifying, but you never really saw him in action.
Yeah, you never got to saw Vader be Vader.
Yeah, and
now
we do, which is great. Texter says, fan, aka Marvel is pandering. Yes, because there are only white people in the world. All right, whatever. I'm not even going down that road with you. You know what they're doing. And it's good for the MCU. All right, it just is. All right, let's get away from that because you guys can't help but train wreck that conversation. That's okay. That's all right. Super regionals are set for the college baseball playoffs, and very excited to watch. Listen, how many times have I told you? I genuinely believe college baseball has the best postseason in sports. College baseball's postseason is amazing. Sure, it is subjective, but I'm right. It is the best postseason in sports. The regionals were spectacular as they are. We have, I think, 9 regionals that went all the way to a decisive second elimination game. The regionals are good. And then the super regionals are amazing. The best 2 out of 3 hosted by the top seeds. Fantastic. Notre Dame at Tennessee. That could be really good. Notre Dame's got a good offense, but Tennessee has an unbelievable offense. They'll be playing at home. Connecticut is at Stanford. That one could be good. Auburn, who dominated their regional, is at Oregon State, who needed a tie-breaking homer to pull ahead and get out of their regional. Oregon State's a very good baseball team, but they have not played the best postseason baseball. Auburn, on the other hand, took SELSU, FSU, and UCLA and wiped the damn floor with them. Auburn's playing as good a baseball as anybody else in the postseason. Oklahoma at Virginia Tech is another good one. Louisville at number 5, Texas A&M. Those are 2 very, very evenly matched teams, but College Station will be rocking for that one. Texas, I got music. Tim Snow, I got stuff coming through. If you don't mind killing that off, thank you very much. Let's see. Oklahoma at number 4, Virginia Tech. Louisville is at number 5, Texas A&M. Texas at ECU. How about ECU? How about the Pirates of ECU getting through for it, man? That is spectacular. Ole Miss at Southern Miss, an all Magnolia State rivalry in that one. And listen, Southern Mississippi is the better team, like a really good team. But Ole Miss has a very proud baseball program, have traditionally, with the exception of the rise in Mississippi State, been the powerhouse in baseball in that state. They are going to want to go try to knock Southern Miss out of the ranks. Really interesting one there. Arkansas is at UNC. I mean, this is good stuff. And we now have our schedules out as well. The tournaments are set as well. Tennessee and Notre Dame. First pitch Friday at 6 p.m. in game number 1 on ESPN Deuce. Saturday at 2 o'clock on ESPN is game 2. Game 3 Sunday if it is needed. And again, that's one I would absolutely keep your eyes on, man. That has got the potential to be a really, really good series. All of the others will follow suit as well. Friday at 6, Saturday at 2, Sunday TBD. Watch it. If you are one of the folks who calls this show and tells me that you love college football because of the pride and the pageantry and the heart of the guys that are playing it, college baseball's for you, my guy. College baseball is for you. It is probably one of, or at least one of the bigger sports that gets its prime time. I'm not talking about like field hockey. It is one of the sports that gets primetime coverage in the postseason. That is 100% pride and pageantry. Best postseason in sports starts on Friday.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right. For the first trending topic, we have Miss Marvel. Hashtag Miss Marvel.
Yeah, talked about that just a minute ago. Miss Marvel dropped today on Disney Plus. Really excited to see how that one comes out. Again, it's an interesting story because Miss Marvel was a young woman who received her powers. She was an Avengers fangirl before she eventually becomes one of the Avengers and one of the more powerful Avengers. Really excited to see how they portray Miss Marvel on the big screen, especially considering so much of the story is about her background. It's about her background and where she came from before she became an Avenger. Excited to see how this series plays out.
All right. Hashtag Black Adam.
Black Adam, the trailer for Black Adam. Man, we're getting a nerd Twitter trending topics today. Black Adam, the trailer starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, dropped while we were on the air just a little while ago. I watched it. It is going to be relatively interesting because Black Adam kind of falls into that Superman realm for me, right? Like, I was a fan of Superman growing up like everybody else, but as I got older, I kind of walked away from Superman effectively because he's too strong to be interesting, right?
Right.
Like, what makes superhero stories interesting is the threat of failure, the threat of losing. Nothing can stop Superman except
He's definitely overpowered. Yeah.
Yeah, and Black Adam's kind of in that same group. Black Adam's kind of in that same group of he is almost unstoppable. Tragic backstory, but unstoppable superhero. I'm interested to see how they transfer it to the big screen. But it is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. What else we got?
All right. Next up, we have. Okay, trending in entertainment. We have hashtag Cole Sprouse.
No idea.
I have no idea either.
No idea.
All right.
Don't know who or what that is.
Hashtag Rambo Space.
Oh, you were just all over the place.
I don't know.
No idea. No.
Uncle Phil. Hashtag Uncle Phil right now.
Uncle Phil, a.k.a. James Avery.
Rest in peace, by the way.
Yeah, man. Uncle Phil, you know, you'll see like online pop culture folks will talk about the list of best TV dads. If Uncle Phil's not on that list, you're wrong. All right?
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
That man taught me a lot of stuff.
If Uncle Phil is not on your list, you're wrong. Uncle Phil, one of the best TV dads, worked his ass off to become successful and get that money, never stopped being grounded, imparted those lessons onto his kids. There were a few moments, one of my favorite episodes, aside from Uncle Phil hustling the pool hustlers, Jeffrey, get Lucille. Well, I mean, just a great moment. One of my favorite moments was Carlton and Will trying to get into a black fraternity on campus, and they rejected Carlton because he wasn't black enough. And Carlton gave one of the most memorable speeches in the history of that show.
I remember that episode, yeah.
Phenomenal episode. What stood out to me about that episode was I could hear Uncle Phil in that speech, right? Like you could hear Uncle Phil in that speech. It was spectacular. James Avery was a spectacular dude, great actor, and Uncle Phil was the best. And just your ending bit of trivia for the day, James Avery, once I tell you this, you'll never be able to not hear it, also provided the voice of the Shredder in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Actually knew that.
Yeah. Go listen to that now. Go to YouTube and listen to the Shredder from the OG Ninja Turtles cartoon, and all you'll hear is angry Uncle Phil now. That's it for us, kids. Jim Rome takes you into the jungle next. Mark Ryan and Diesel up at 3 with offsides. Have a phenomenal rest of your day, my friends. NBA Finals Game 3, full breakdown tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. All right, ladies and germs, thank you guys very much. I appreciate y'all. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. See you tomorrow right back here to do it all over again.